What is going on, guys, and welcome back to LOI Fan TV, and a happy new year to everyone who is tuning in. It is greatly appreciated you are here for another year. If you were watching us all the year, I think it's like 7 or 8 years now, we're nearly gone at this stage, a good long time. If you're here with us since nearly the start or the start of our journey, it is much appreciated. Thank you so much for it, and I hope you all had a fantastic festive period, of course. I would have hoped to have maybe uploaded a couple more times throughout that, but you know yourself, you just get carried away in the celebrations of it all. Now you might see it, still hear it. I am still sick. I think there was a bug or something going around all of Dublin for like 3 weeks there, and it's still kind of lingering on me a bit now, to be honest. So you might be able to hear it on my voice a little bit, but I was dying there for a while, to be honest. So I hope you all were able to dodge that. But a lot of kind of people I know were kind of struck down by the same kind of thing. So nasty Altos doing the rounds, but coming to the end of that now, thank God, and it's a new fresh start in a new year, and yeah, plenty of content to come up throughout the season, please God. And what better way to kickstart 2025 than to do a little bit of a catch up on the latest transfer rumours, the latest done deals, and the latest all of whatever is going on in the LOI Premier Division. A new year and plenty more transfers to come, it would seem, doesn't it? It certainly seems that way. There's definitely a lot of clubs that do have a lot of business yet to do. I think there's probably 2 teams in the Premier Division that I would say could start the season tomorrow and be content. I think they're kind of set more or less, and then there's the other 8 I think have work to do. So we will jump into it, but before we do, if you don't mind, please do drop a like on the video down below. Start off the new year with 40 likes, that'll be fantastic. Thank you so much, and please do subscribe. We have a couple of goals. We're setting a couple of goals this year. Haven't really done that in previous years, so we're setting a couple of different targets that we're going to try and actively hit this year. So please do subscribe and like the video if you don't mind. It is greatly appreciated. We always do start in alphabetical order, so we'll do the same again, and we will kickstart with Bohemians. Now, excuse me, I might do a little bit of coughing, a little bit of spluttering throughout the video, as I mentioned earlier, but just trying, I hope it's not too much of an ear sore, so to speak. But yeah, Bohemians, they did have a busy start to the transfer window. They obviously brought in, kind of fired out of the traps. Might do a little bit of catching up. We might have touched on some of this stuff in previous videos, but just to kind of do a bit of a catch up because it's been a while. Colin Whelan brought in, John Mountney brought in, and Noel Moran brought in, and as far as I know, that's as good as it's gotten so far for Bohemians fans. And that was kind of a promising start, but there hasn't been much substance backing up that so far. Lots of rumours. Connor Kane, Franz Perot, probably 2 players that'd be fantastic pickups for them, but nothing doing on that end just yet. So still a lot of work to do. It's very kind of, when you look at the team that they have, it's a very unbalanced squad. There's a lot of midfielders in there, a lot of good midfielders, but there's a lot of midfielders. I think there's maybe like 8 or 9 central midfielders for probably about 3 positions. So yeah, it's definitely a bit of a one to figure out. That's the kind of sums up their recruitment recently. They've badly need another striker or 2 alongside Colin Whelan. They probably need another couple of defenders, and yeah, they need a couple of defenders left full for sure. Centre halves, they need a lot. So I'd be surprised if there's not any movement in the midfield front. I'd imagine they'll probably try and shift a couple, but yeah, it remains to be seen. A lot of work to do for Bohemians ahead of the start of the next season, and you'd imagine they'd be desperate to try and get the likes of a Franz Pro over the line. But I have heard that he's been linked with a move abroad, so onto the continent. So we'll see what happens there. But lots of work to do for Bohemians. Cork City up next. Obviously we touched on them getting Alex Nolan in the previous video. I think we also touched on them getting Benny Couto in a fullback. I think he was previously at Oldham. I think he might have had something with someone else in between that as well, but kind of a National League left back, so don't know a whole lot about him. But yeah, we'll see what he's like. Kind of hard to know. They've brought in a couple of goalkeepers as well. I think we touched on Brad Wade left the club already, so they have brought in Pen Troost, a goalkeeper on loan from NAC Breda, and they've brought in Connor Bran, a goalkeeper from Swindon, who had been apparently training with the team, training with Cork for the last little while. So they've brought in those 2 lads there. Who's number 1? I'd imagine it's probably around 10 Troost, who they got on loan, but no idea. I have never heard of the 2 of them, so it remains to be seen. But they did need to get some goalkeepers in, of course. So it's promising in that front.
I'm worried about the squad depth of goalies.
A couple of big departures confirmed in the last week, including captain Keane Coleman from last year. I know I don't think it's gone down too well. Cork fans, if you're watching, let me know what you think in the comments below. But he's kind of their start in their half. I think he was in the first division team of the year last year. So I'm surprised that they haven't been able to strike an agreement to strike some sort of a deal. And I'd imagine he might get picked up by a top tier side, Keane Coleman, you'd imagine, and Barry Coffey also leaving the club as well. So two players that you would have probably expected them to keep maybe being let go, and it's a bit of a shame, especially Keane Coleman. You would have thought would have been kept on. You would imagine now that they are looking for defensive reinforcements. Sorry, I'm just looking up something here quickly, and I believe that will come in the shape of Shane Griffin. I'm surprised it hasn't been done just yet. Shelbourne did confirm his departure, so I'd imagine that he will be a done deal at Cork City. A little concern for me is his injury record last season. He did pick up quite a lot of knocks and niggles and stuff, so he did miss a lot of the season, so you don't want to be constantly relying on him to play every minute of every game. Another one that they've been linked with is Luke Turner, I believe. So obviously with St. Pat's last season, he did play 28 games, but he didn't blow anyone's socks away. Like, he didn't perform amazingly, and probably as much as they would have expected. I think they paid a significant enough fee, Pats, last season to bring him in from the Northern Irish League. So one to keep an eye on there. I think it'd be a good pickup for Cork, maybe if they can strike a loan or something, maybe to get him in. Be interesting to see. But Luke Turner and Shane Griffin, two that have been seen linked, and they probably both make sense, to be fair, as well. We will move on to Derry City then. So Derry City, a little bit quiet enough. They've brought in Arlo Doherty, probably going to be a second choice goalkeeper to Brian Maher, of course, who signed the new deal. He had been training with the Derry under 21, so I assume he's coming in as a second or third choice goalkeeper. Formerly of Leicester City, and a former under-19 Irish international, so definitely some pedigree there, and could be someone they look to kind of push Maher all the way and have some kind of friendly competition there. Still only 21 years of age, so a young goalkeeper to kind of push Maher there is only a positive thing, really. I think we discussed Shane Ferguson coming in the last video, obviously former Championship League One left-sided player, very experienced. What will he offer to Derry remains to be seen, but I think he brings that bit of experience and know-how, and I think Tiernan Lynch should be delighted to got him over the line. Another player we mentioned for Derry City is Gavin White. Now, I think this was mentioned in the previous video as well. It doesn't look like that deal is going to get over the line, I don't think. I think Tiernan Lynch had been very, very public in his kind of acclamations for wanting to get him in and wanting to get that deal over the line. Is a really important one for him, it seemed like, and it does look like he will move to a Northern Irish League club like Ballymena. I think it's rumoured that he's training with at the moment. I think Cliftonville are in from as well, and it looks like that's kind of the way he's going to go, which is a shame for Derry. I think that was probably one of their main targets at the start of the window. Obviously only 28 I think still, and formerly of Portsmouth in the Championship, good player. I think that would definitely be a blow. So obviously it hasn't been confirmed yet, so they're not completely out of the race, but it does look like I think Ballymena are going to get that one over the line. So a bit of a blow to Derry City there. Next up, Drogheda United. Now, a couple of signings since we last spoke, I believe. Jack Brady coming in as a backup goalkeeper to Luke Dennison, who they've re-signed as well. So that's a bit of competition there. Obviously, he's former Shells and stuff, and he's only after coming in from Galway United. I believe he was the backup there last season as well. But a hugely impressive deal that they got done, and one that I think will be very, very important from next season is Conor Keeley, getting him back in from St. Pat's. Obviously didn't really work out from Pats. He had a fantastic season with Drogheda the year before. Went to Pats, didn't really kick on, didn't work out, and back to Drogheda now, back to kind of familiar surroundings. I think it's a great move for him and a great move for Drogheda as well, and be so helpful in their bid to survive again next season, and their European aspirations of course as well. So it's a fantastic bit of business. Another signing to get over the line is Thomas Alua from Wexford. Now, he's been kind of turned into a little bit of even at the age of 23, he's turned into a little bit of a journeyman. He's kind of been around at Rovers and Bows and a couple of first division sides as well, and bits and pieces. So I think he kind of finally settled a little bit at Wexford, and had a good year last year, 15 goals in all competitions. I think he was there for a season or two at Wexford, I think, wasn't he? And he kind of found a little bit of a home there and found a bit of form. So I don't think anyone was ever doubting his ability. I think it was just doubting whether he can string these kind of bit of consistency together and stuff, and he really did do that at Wexford. And I think of course they did play Drogheda in the FAI Cup semi-final, and Drogheda of course beat them, but LOI did impress on the day, and he was a constant kind of thorn in their side. He's a versatile forward as well, which gives Drogheda different options and stuff. And if Franz Perrault is to leave, he is kind of a nice, not necessarily like for like, but not a million miles away from kind of replacement. So it's a good one to get over the line, and I think he'll be chomping at the bit to have another crack at the Premier Division at the top flight. Another addition for Drogheda is Kieran Cruz from Bray Wanderers. Now I think this is probably a good route for Drogheda to go down. They've kind of clearly identified a lot of the key best performers in the first division to bring them in. Obviously Drogheda can't never really break the budget for players, but if they can kind of constantly get these young, really talented players in the door and try and build with them, I think it's a really clever move. And I think Conor Kane's an interesting one. I think he is re-signed for next year, I imagine, but I think he is, but I know that he is labelled linked with Bowes and the likes as well, and he potentially would go there. So to get Kieran Cruz in, who is kind of a left-sided player, I know he played in the kind of front line for Bray last season as nearly a left winger, but I think naturally he's probably a left fuller. I think he's actually naturally a left wing back, which suits Drogheda down to the ground in terms of that back five. They can really utilise him on that left hand side, so on that back five. So I think that's a perfect move for him. And even if Conor Kane stays, just having two options there is a good thing as well. And Cruz can play further forward as well. So yeah, I think it's a really clever signing for Drogheda. Good squad depth, and yeah, it's a good acquisition for them. Just a big question marks for Drogheda now are around that front two, Douglas James Taylor and Franz Perrault. Douglas James Taylor, of course, there's been a couple of rumours and bits and pieces that Walsall will look to recall him. No sign of that just yet, so it's fantastic for Drogheda. So hopefully they'll be praying that they can keep him for the first half of the season, because he was fantastic towards the end of last year. And then Franz Perrault, it's been seen very quiet on that front. As I touched on earlier, it looks like he might move to the continent. There's a couple of rumours of that, but it's hard to know just yet, so we'll see. We'll wait and see what happens with Franz Perrault, but they'll be desperate to get another striker in if they are to lose one, if not both of those players. Galway United then, and it's been very, very quiet from the tribesmen so far. Zero signings as of yet in terms of new signings. Obviously they made a lot of re-signings, but no new signings. A couple of departures, but nothing hugely significant really in terms of big blows for them. So yeah, it's been very quiet so far, but I think they've a lot of work to do. I think they did want to be getting a couple of players in the door at least, especially in that kind of forward area. I think Stephen Walsh is maybe the only recognised striker in that squad at the moment. So yeah, I think they've a lot of work to do, especially in the front area of the pitch. So yeah, nothing really doing. I haven't really heard any rumours either from Galway, so very, very quiet so far. So I'm expecting a couple of busy weeks for them coming up. Shamrock Rovers then, the only signing as of yet is Danny Grant, of course, who was brought in probably with the idea and an eye on Neil Fruge's departure, which was confirmed this week as well. He has moved to Barnsley in League One. It's like, I'm looking forward to the day where that's not seen as an upgrade. I know it's going to probably take a long time, and financially it's a good move for Fruge and stuff like that, but I just can't wait for the day when that's not seen as an upgrade anymore. Like Barnsley, fucking hell, Jesus. But yeah, a couple of departures from Sean Hoare, on St. Pat's as well, which we'll touch on a little bit later on. But yeah, Farouche is a killer blow. Johnny Kenny, of course, has gone back to Celtic as well. Danny Grant coming in. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Like I touched on it with Luke in the previous video, just in terms of I feel like Bowes couldn't afford to take that risk on him because he is going to be an expensive enough player. I think Shell's looked at him as well, but just couldn't take a risk on his injuries and his inconsistencies, where I think Shamrock Rovers have that ability to take that bit more of a risk on a player like Danny Grant, who has undoubted ability and seems like a great lad, great attitude, but it's just that little bit of consistency in his game. But we've seen players, countless players, Danny Mandrew and the likes, go from Bowes to Rovers and kick on big time. So you can easily see something like that going ahead. Interesting thing for me was that they announced him as a wing back, and I don't know if he is a wing back personally. Do you guys see that? I just don't. He's never struck me as a defensive type winger. Like, he's always been a proper front three, get out to his full back kind of defender. Doesn't do an awful lot of defensive work really. I just don't know how he'll adjust to that Shamrock Rovers system if he is being expected to play in a back five or a 3-4-3 or whatever. Not sure how he adjusts to that, but we shall see. Then the big one for them, of course, is getting a goalkeeper, and I think that's probably the priority position. I know Leon Poles did definitely improve as the season went on last year. He was a disaster at the start, but he did improve so much towards the end, and he was really good in Europe in particular as well for them. So definitely a player that will probably play a part in the future, but I think if they can get Ed McGinty in the door, that just brings them to that next level again. So I think that's one that they're probably focusing on at the moment. There has been rumours. Dan McDonald has tweeted out about it, I think, as well. So there's definitely rumours that Ed McGinty could be on his way to Shamrock Rovers, which would be a huge bit of business, and I think that's probably the priority signing for them right now. Shelbourne up next, the champions, and this is the first of two teams that I think is nearly there, barring maybe one player. I think the squad is pretty much complete. Mipo Odubeko and Daniel Kelly, Ellis Chapman joining the club in December, following on from the early signing of Ryan O'Kane, and I think that's four really good signings. Let me know what you think, guys. Well, I think that's four excellent bits of business. I think we touched on Ryan O'Kane before, young winger, lot to prove. I think he'll be a proper Duff signing, a good player. Mipo Odubeko, speaking of a Duff type signing, I think Rovers were in for him obviously to replace Johnny Kenny as well. And he did choose Shells, and I'd say Duff was a big factor there. He's seen what he can do with players, and Mipo Odubeko, I think he played for West Ham. He came on at Old Trafford in the Cup. He's been playing at Man City and United's academies, and no doubt about it, this guy has bags and bags of ability. It's just trying to unearth it, and he's had a couple of different moves. He probably needs to find his home, needs to come back and play first team football week in week out and start scoring goals, get his confidence going again. But I think once he does, that's a superstar in the making. A multi-year deal, you could see him maybe being a very expensive player come the end of the season, and Shelbourne could make a lot of money on him potentially. You just know he has that ability in his locker. So yeah, I think that's a huge signing from Fleetwood. Daniel Kelly, we all know what he's like. Injury issues last season was a shame for him on a personal level, a shame for Derry City as well, but experienced player, European experience. He's won leagues, I think, with Dundalk, hasn't he? He's done a lot in his career, and he's 27, 28 now. Moving back to Dublin, I think, was a big thing for him, being around his family and stuff. So I think that was a nice move for him, and I think he has pace and a lot of. He's kind of a dynamic player, so he adds a lot of that to the Shells front line, and I think especially with the likes of Manny Smith and Liam Burton stuff leaving the club, I think that's a nice little one to get in the door. And then Ellis Chapman as well, just to add that bit of quality to the midfield. You've Mark Coyle, you've JJ Loney there already, who were stalwarts last season, but to add that little bit more, I think he was in a lot of people's teams of the year last season. Ellis Chapman, he was fantastic, a real breakout star in the LOI last season at Sligo Rovers, and they were devastated to lose him. So I think that's a fantastic signing for Shells to get Ellis Chapman through the door, and it kind of gives Duff an option maybe to play midfield 3 now with Lunny, Coyle and Chapman or whatever. Like, it gives them different options. So I think really good business from Shelbourne so far. Aidan O'Brien has left the club. That's one big bit of news in the last little while. I think he signed for Woking, but he never really looked, played his part last season, scored a couple of goals, but never really looked fully fit and wants to go home to London and stuff. So yeah, fair enough. I think probably the best situation for all parties there. But some big news coming out from Sean O'Connor at the Independent was that St Mirren have come in for Sean Boyd apparently, and Shelbourne have rejected a 5-figure sum for their talisman from last season. He really carried them over the line in the league winning bid. So 5 figures seems a bit disrespectful, and I guess he only has a year left on his deal. I think Shelbourne are going to go off from a new contract now, which is probably a wise decision. 26, entering his kind of prime years. So I think, for Sean Boyd, it's one where you kind of have to evaluate your options. Is this the time for him to go to Scotland or something and really try and build his career in the UK or whatever, or does he want to stick it out with Shells, and if they can give him a nice secure deal, is he happy with that? So really interesting one there. Interesting to see how that one kind of transpires for the next couple of weeks. I know Shelbourne and Duff will be desperate to keep him. What a rise of a trajectory he's had from that horrific injury he had, going to Finn Harps, going to, I think he was in Longford and stuff, and then it's kind of gradually working his way up to becoming a league winner. It's an incredible story really. So St Mirren in for him, really interesting, and it'll be interesting to see how that one goes. But if he does go, obviously with Aidan O'Brien going as well, you'd imagine Duff will need to get another striker through the door to accompany Martin and Odubeko next season. Other than that though, for Shells, I think maybe a centre half light, possibly, maybe to upgrade there. Paddy Barrett's obviously there. You have Cameron Ledwidge and things like that. Obviously Gavin Malloy left the club last season, so maybe looking for someone to come in for him, or maybe they want to give Lewis Temple a good crack at it this season as a kind of a rotation player. So interesting one. I think maybe just a defender short for Shells, and that'll be about it. And I think they'll be happy with their squad. St. Pat's then, I think their business is 100% done. It has to be. I don't think there's a single gap in their squad. I think they've done. I think Stephen Kenny has fire out the blocks with his deals, and I think they're have done a really good job. Even though they had a great end to the season last year, so they didn't need to do a huge amount, but they did enough, and they've got more depth in certain areas, and they've got more quality in certain areas. I think Kenny will be delighted, and it always makes me feel confident in a team when they can get their business done so early and so confidently, and then they've the proper pre-season together. There's no fluting around really. Like, it was kind of similar with Shells last season. They got their business done early, and then they went on and won the league. Like, it matters a lot. Whereas Bows, for example, did their business last minute, got a lot of defenders in the last minute, and it was a mess. Makes a huge difference. So I think Pats will be very, very confident coming into this season. Simon Power coming in from Sligo, we've touched on that one before. Ramal Palmer, great signing, getting him in on a permanent deal was fantastic. He was obviously a fan favourite last season. Barry Bagley coming in from Fleetwood, obviously he was on loan at Waterford last season, so to be glad to get that one in. Lovely left foot and a lovely little midfielder, so he'll be a great option alongside your Forresters and your Lennons and stuff. Sean Hoare coming in from Shamrock Rovers as well, obviously would have worked with Stephen Kenny at Dundalk, so they know each other inside out, and he's just a good experienced defender, like solid as a rock, doesn't make a huge amount of mistakes. Not a world beater, but never a bad option, and always a solid player. So yeah, Sean Hoare coming in from Rovers as well was a big one. Departures known really hugely significant, couple of promising young players and stuff, but nothing massive. So yeah, I think Kenny and Pat's fans will be absolutely thrilled with the deals they've done and their business, and yeah, I think they're finished. No more ins, no more outs. Sligo Rovers then, a little bit underwhelming, hasn't it been, to be fair, and maybe by a little bit I mean severely underwhelming. I think the fans will be disappointed. I saw the club got a little bit of stick online on socials there recently after announcing the re-signing of the goalkeeper Connor Walsh. And it was just because they teased the goalkeeper glove as a tweet, and everyone was obviously going to be like Ed McGinty, and it wasn't Ed McGinty, it was Connor Walsh. But let's be real, come on, like I think he's been in the underage Ireland squads before. It's a good goalkeeper, that's not a bad goalkeeper at all. I think Ed McGinty and Sligo Rovers, I can't see that happening ever again. So but I think it was just the goalkeeper glove tweet was probably a bad idea, building up the hype and then announcing somebody that they weren't expecting. It was probably not the smartest move in the world, but I think Connor Walsh is a very good keeper in his own right, and I think he'll be the number one at Sligo next season. That is not the problem area for me. Losing Ellis Chapman, losing Noel Moran, their captain, losing Simon Power, probably their most explosive, one of their best performers last season. Great winger. I think that's where the issues lie, losing your best players. They have brought in a couple of signings that have been impressed by Francis Eli Lamboto from Galway, who've touched on before. I think that's a decent one. I think he'll have a kick on under a different manager. I don't think he's a Caulfield player. I think he'll kick on at Sligo. King Kavanagh, coming in from Pats, I think he could be a class player. Jad Hakiki, I love him. I really hope he kicks on at Sligo. I could see him being a superstar there. And Ronan Manning coming in as well. So a couple of good bits of business for Sligo. But I think they have a lot of work to do still. The squad was light enough last year, and they lost a lot of quality. I think they still have a lot of business to get done. And it's just a question of how kind of sustainable is that model of constantly losing like your best players and then trying to rebuild, and it's tough, isn't it? And it's a process, but it's tough for Sligo fans to stay patient with that. So it's interesting to see how they do. They always bring through a couple of good young players every season though, so I'm excited to see what they can do with that. I think a couple of loans are needed though to get them competitive in the league again next season, because at the moment as it stands I'm a little bit worried about them, but we'll see how they can get on. Finally then we do have Waterford. Touched on the signings of Andy Boyle, James Oleinka and Sam Glenfield before. Since then they have brought in Matty Smith from Shelbourne. I think that's a really clever signing. I think him playing under Keith Long, have they had a relationship before? Maybe they have, I can't remember, but I think he was obviously, Matty Smith's obviously at Waterford previously, so going back to somewhere he knows well and getting a nice kind of long-term deal as well, I think is great for him. And never a bad player at Shells, just never really kicked on as much as he would have liked, I think, in that last season. So I think this would be the perfect move for him, and I think Keith Long will definitely get the best out of him. But Waterford have completed the signing that I'm potentially the most excited for out of any signing I've seen in the League of Ireland so far. I know it's a huge statement, but this is probably the signing I'm most excited to see, and this could be like League of Ireland folklore right here, folks. It is Martin Powell, a 6'7" Dutch striker. That's just such good vibes. Like that screams great crack no matter how it turns out. That will be amazing to watch, and I cannot wait. A 6'7" striker at the RFC next season. Lock me up, sign me in. I'm ready for that. I'm all over that. I love that shit. And then finally, Waterford have also brought in Trey Coyle from Lausanne, is it? Lausanne, Swiss team. Left winger. Don't know a huge amount about him, to be honest. I think he's formerly of Arsenal, 23 years old, so that could be a really, really shrewd, good signing as well. Excited to see how he does. So yeah, former Irish youth international. Yeah, that could be a very good signing for Waterford. So yeah, I think there's a couple of really exciting bits there done from Waterford this season, and I think they could be a couple of dark horse signings that go under the radar, but could be kind of League of Ireland cracking players for the League of Ireland. Really, yeah, excited to see how they go. Obviously, lost a lot of players on loan and bits and pieces like that, and a lot of players have gone. Probably the biggest list of outs in the whole league. Barry Bagley, in particular, like those lads kind of going, is a huge blow. But yeah, so I'd imagine they have a couple of bits and pieces to do still, but I think their squad is looking alright. It's looking alright, I think. But yeah, guys, let me know if you've heard any rumours, because we'll probably try to do this again. I didn't touch on as many rumours as I would have liked here. We're probably just more catching up than anything else. But if you've heard any rumours or anything I've missed out on there, please do let me know down in the comments below. It is much appreciated if you can do that. And if you did enjoy it, make sure to drop a like in the video, and please do subscribe. As always, just support is greatly appreciated. And yeah, have a cracking 2025. I'll be back with another video as soon as. Might do a little one. It's called one signing your club needs to make in 2025, something along those lines. So yeah, make sure to stay tuned for that. And yeah, have a great year, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you for your continued support and all of your support in 2024. It is much appreciated, and I will catch you in a little while. Thanks.